All right, guys, welcome to episode 4 of Heritage Talk, where the two of us will talk about everything heritage. On today's episode, we're going to deep dive into Goodyear Welting. How are you doing today?
How are you, man?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Looking good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, Goodyear Welting. Let me provide some historical context.
Today's topic is Goodyear.
Today's topic is Goodyear
Before
Welting.
you start,
Yes,
we've heard this term Goodyear
yes.
from the
The
tire
tires,
company,
yes.
right? So, is this the same thing? What is it?
Okay.
Tell us something about it.
Sure. So, Goodyear Welting.
Yes.
Right? As a lot of people will probably think, does Goodyear Welting have anything to do with Goodyear tires?
Oh, yes. It's the same family.
Okay.
So, if you've read that in your science books, Charles Goodyear was the inventor of rubber. He was the one who invented vulcanization. And then he started finding the implications for the rubber,
Sure.
which he produced, so that he can sell it. And after using rubber in a couple of machineries, he started seeing a great implication in the footwear.
Sure.
So if you go back and look at the Goodyear logo, it's still a boot with wings on it.
It is indeed.
Yeah, so it's the same family, it's the same guy, Charles Goodyear. And then when they started selling the rubber outsoles to manufacturers, after some time what happened was the leather was a really high quality material and the rubber soles will quickly wear out. They weren't those kind of compounds that we have now.
Sure.
So it was even quicker, right? And the factories, because they were used by mine workers, factory workers and all those people, and the military as well.
Yep.
So they would come back and complain that, the soles are wearing out too quickly. The science wasn't really evolved that much. It was just the rubber was invented a couple of decades ago. What they did was they saw that how they can quickly, efficiently and cheaply replace the outsoles.
Sure.
So the son of Mr. Charles Goodyear, who was known as Charles Jr. Goodyear, invented machines which can facilitate quick, easy and cheap changing of the outsoles in
Okay.
the footwear, right?
Okay.
So it was basically a few set of machines which can install, replace and add a sole easily to a footwear so that
Okay.
it can be used for industrial purposes.
Sure.
Remember, we're talking about the times
Yes.
when cementing and anything was not. So the only way was to install a outsole or maybe to stick an outsole to an upper was to stitch it through a welt, right?
Yep.
So that is Goodyear.
Yes.
That's a fascinating story. I always think about it and how they were able to associate their name and keep it. It's late 1800s. It's 1880, I believe. And we still hear that name every day. That's a legacy, man.
It is. It is. It's just interesting how you go from making machine parts to making rubber goods to then becoming one
But
of
they
the
never
largest.
invented the welting process.
No,
welting
they
process
didn't.
has been there. It was hand welted.
Yep.
It was tedious and expensive thing to do. Before they invented rubber, they used to stick outsoles made of leather with metal studs. You
Yep.
must have seen some pictures.
Yeah.
We always sit down and keep on scrolling vintage boot pictures. You must have seen those metal studs.
Yep.
They used to install metal studs in the leather outsole, but it wasn't as efficient and water resistant as rubber.
Yep.
So rubber was introduced by Goodyear family into footwear.
What's interesting is that those metal studs or hobnails, the only objective of them is not to actually increase grip, but just to provide an additional layer between the leather outsole and the ground so that the leather outsole wears down a little slower. Because if you think about those metal studs, right, maybe on some surfaces like mud, you may get better grip. But if you're walking on anything remotely hard, you're just going to go flying across the floor. But it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Try walking in hobnail boots, not comfortable at all.
Yes, that's a different
But
But I think that would be an interesting topic if you could enlighten us on welted construction.
Sure.
Now there are two ways of doing it.
Yes.
Hand and Goodyear.
Yep.
So now people know that Goodyear is when you replace the outsole with a set of machines
Yep.
that quickly helps getting it done without
Yes.
having to spend a lot of tedious labor and money. Another one is done by hand.
Yep.
Can you explain a little bit more about the pros and cons and both how it's done?
Absolutely. So what I'll do is I'll explain hand welting first,
Yes.
because if you
Because that's the older one.
Exactly.
That's what they replicated with the machine.
Exactly. If you understand what hand welting is, you just need to imagine a machine doing the same thing, but
Same
at a
thing.
much faster rate. That's it.
Yes.
So hand welting is basically, I would say, the art of a cobbler or a shoemaker or a boot maker, taking that strip of vegetable tan leather, or welt, as we've explained in one of our last videos, and hand sewing it through the upper portion of the boot, right?
So you stick the welt beneath it.
So you take the welt and you go around the perimeter of the boot,
360
and then
degrees.
you can either do 360, you can do 270. It's completely up to the design and the maker.
But you add the welt to the circumference.
Correct. It goes around the boot, and then you're hand sewing it. I believe in the old days it used to be directly through a thick leather veg tan midsole. But
And you do it all by hands.
Yep, and you do it all by hand.
That's going to be painful. And
It's extremely
slow.
painful. It's extremely tedious.
You need strength in
It's-
your fingers.
You do, and it's a very high skill job. It's not something that you can just learn in a week. It takes.
Tell me one thing.
Yes.
Isn't it expensive to do this?
I
Somebody
would imagine
sitting
so.
and
Yeah,
doing it
yeah.
by
I
hand.
mean,
And that is the reason I believe that all of these people, because these were the boots not worn by rich guys.
Yep.
These were mine workers,
Yep.
factory workers.
These were work
soldiers.
boots. These were
So
work boots.
either these boots were being provided by the government to soldiers and
Yep.
people who are on the ground fields, or factories as safety boots,
Yep.
as the beginning of the safety boots.
Correct.
And they were had to bear the cost.
So
And they wanted a cheaper alternative because
Absolutely.
making hundreds of people who can chain this by hands was going to be really expensive.
it is
for
going to be
these
expensive. It's
organizations.
time consuming. It's not efficient, which is why today, if you see any hand welted boot or shoe, it will typically tend to fall in that higher end of footwear kind of category. It's not a mass market product, really. What I think is interesting is the way that machine welting, or more specifically Goodyear Welting, revolutionized this.
Goodyear Welting.
What Goodyear Welting did was take that laborious, time-consuming activity and put a machine out there that quite literally, I mean, I've seen it happen on our
I love
shop
that
floor, in
machine.
our
It's like
workshop.
machine gun.
It's like a machine. It sounds amazing. It sounds,
I would love
it
to.
sounds like a
I'm going
machine
to try
gun.
my hand. I don't want to spoil all the footwear that we have on the floor, but it's like tuk, 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 tuk. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
That and the outsole stitcher. They both have
They
beautiful
both,
noises.
they're
Yeah.
my favorite machines.
But so pretty much. So when I was having this prototype made and they welted it, it must have taken at the most 10 seconds for the welt to be sewn by the machine all the way around. And so that's basically what that machine's done. Is it's taken a process that could take an hour or several hours.
Several hours.
Right.
We do
And
both. We do hand welted.
We do.
And we do Goodyear welted.
We do.
We know that a guy who's been doing it for years
Yep.
may still take 2 to 3 hours
Yep.
to do a pair.
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
tedious, that's expensive,
Absolutely.
that's labor intensive.
It is.
It is very expensive.
It
but
is ve-
tell me one thing.
Yes.
So we understand one is done by hands,
One's done by
other
machine.
is done by machine.
That's right.
But is there any difference in the quality of both of them?
If you ask me personally, no. To my mind, there is no difference in the quality. I'll put this across as simply as I can. They both require a tremendous degree of skill. I don't want people sitting at home thinking that one's machine done by a machine, someone sitting in an an AC operating room pushing a button and the machine does it. No,
It requires skill.
it
set.
requires skill.
Years
It
and
requires
decades of
strength,
discipline to run them.
because you have to hold this boot in this sort of like channel, and it's going at an extremely high speed. And if you can't control it by a millimeter or 2 millimeters, if there's any degree of variance or wobble, that's it. You got to start all over again, and it's just a waste of time. So they both require a tremendous degree
requires a
of skill.
tremendous
Hats off
skill
to people
set.
who do either, right? Hand welting is just, I would say, it's a little more traditional in some ways. Although, with that being said, Goodyear Welting is now well over 100 years old. So
It's 150 years old, man.
Yeah.
140, 45.
So I mean, if something that's been happening for 140 years is not considered traditional, I don't know what else could
So
be
honestly,
considered
I have
traditional.
seen a difference. There is one difference that I was
Okay.
able to notice. When you tie a machine welt
Mm-hmm.
or a welt is stitched through machine, it tends to be tighter than hands.
Yes.
The machine is way more powerful than our fingers.
Yes.
The stitching done is way tighter.
Yes.
It creates a stronger barrier.
Mm-hmm.
There are less holes, loops
Yep.
for the water to seep in.
Yep.
So what I've seen is if it is done by machine over hands, it tends to be a little bit more water resistant.
I think that's fair to say. Yeah.
Because you can't say waterproof.
Proof.
Because
No,
they're not
no, you
waterproof
can't.
by any means.
No.
They're more water resistant.
Yep.
But if you are a person who wants more man hours going into your footwear,
Yep.
because it's a taste thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like I love that somebody spent 3-4 hours just tying a welt in my footwear.
Yep.
So then you should go for a hand welted
I agree.
footwear.
I
But
agree.
if you say that I'm buying it for a use case, I'm going to be out there in the rains.
Yep.
I'm going to be there on the work field. I need something that has a tighter construction,
Yep.
a tighter grip to everything. Then maybe a Goodyear Welting is going to be a better option.
I think so. I think so. And in general, if you're buying a pair of work boots,
Work
right,
boots, yes.
I don't think you want to drop the kind of cash that you would on, let's say, something a little fancier for
Yeah.
nice occasions, because you are going to beat these things
Yes.
to hell, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, machine welting or Goodyear welting will bring that cost down to the consumer while still offering them a fantastic product that is resolable,
fantastic
recraftable, rebuildable.
I
all
don't
those
think
good
so.
things.
One is superior than the other. I think they're both great construction methods.
They are.
Hand welted or Goodyear welted.
I agree. You know, it's like the difference between saying something was grilled on a grill or barbecue versus it being pan seared, right? They both achieve a very similar. I'm not a chef, but they both achieve a very similar kind of end product. But there's just a difference in how intensive one is versus the other. But you're getting, something that's cooked as well in both cases. So, to my mind, I would not foo-foo a Goodyear welted boot against a hand welted boot, or vice versa.
They're both fantastic.
Yep.
Both fantastic.
I agree.
It also on the mass. So if you really want to offer a good quality product
Yep.
to a lot of people,
You have to
don't
go
really
machine
have
welting.
you
You
cannot
have
have
to.
there are not enough artisans
Yep.
who can hand weld, hand stitch.
Yep.
There is not enough patience in the
Yep.
people to learn that kind of
I
craft
agree.
now,
I agree.
right? And it's going to blow the cost off the charts, right? So it's
Yep.
going to be really expensive for the end consumer. So I think it's kind of a service
I
that
agree.
you're able to produce at a certain price point, which is still as good or even at times higher quality,
Yep.
and serve to a lot of people and give them the taste of this high quality, naturally built, nice product.
Yep. I
But
agree.
there is nothing wrong with going for a hand welted.
No.
But I would, if I need to choose, maybe a dress shoe, a dress boot, I'd like to go for hand welted ones, because now it's about dressy, it's about taste, it's about refinement. I'll say, okay, more man hours, it's fantastic. I
When
love it.
and where are you going to wear a dress shoe or dress boot?
Workflow. But I'm just saying for the audience, yeah. So if I'm going for a dress shoe, maybe a dress boot, maybe it would make sense for you to invest in a hand welted
Absolutely.
one. If you
Absolutely.
like to have that man hours being spent, if you really
Yep.
want to count that somebody stitched 4 hours,
Mm-hmm.
the welt and the outsole, another 4 hours, 8 hours of stitching by hands has gone into making my footwear. If you want that storytelling,
Yep.
hand welting is the way to go.
Absolutely.
But if you're buying it for work, ruggedness, durability, you do not want water seeping in easily, and you want a tighter construction method, Goodyear welting is the way
And to be honest with you, I think we're blessed in India where we still have a large base of extremely skilled artisans who can hand welt, and artisans who are willing to learn these skills. But I think as we keep moving ahead, things are only going to get more mechanized, and
Yes.
hand welting will eventually become a super niche thing, the way we've seen with plenty of brands in Southeast Asia and Japan, where it's like a 2-man shop or a 1-man shop that does hand
And they do
welting.
fantastic job.
Absolutely,
They-
but it's not scalable.
It's not scalable. It's very expensive for the people
is.
as well to buy.
So it's a product that only a small percentage of the population as a
Can-
whole can
yes.
enjoy or
Yes.
have an experience with. So I
It's a
think
disservice if you cannot provide product to a lot of people if you make good quality products.
I
It's
think
not
so.
us against makers. We're all one tribe.
Yep.
It's us, all of us, against the big league, mass-produced cheap products.
I agree. And I think with Goodyear Welting, it affords you the opportunity
It
to
provides
to
you
make something that is very heritage,
Yes.
very durable, repairable, resolable, and rebuildable.
The classic
right?
KB move.
And offer it at a at a reasonable price. I'm not going to sit here and say it's cheap, because that's cheap is a different. It's a definition that varies from person to person. It's not my place to judge what an individual's purchasing power is.
When you buy a mass-produced product, especially coming from places where it has been crafted or manufactured, taking advantage of somebody,
Yep.
that still somebody along the way was not paid the way they were supposed to be paid.
Yep.
So your cheap product was on the cost of somebody else's.
I agree. I agree.
living
But with that being said, the
standard,
reason I
education.
said cheap is that I wouldn't call any Goodyear welted piece of footwear cheap. It's all relative, but
It's cheaper in longer run.
It's cheaper in the longer run, and I think if you're going for a Goodyear welted boot, shoe, whatever, right? It is as cheap as you can get, which will afford you certain characteristics and benefits
Yes.
compared to
exactly.
anything else that you can get.
Exactly. If you count, if you can use it for 15 years,
Yep.
and if you buy it for $200, $300, $400,
And you spread that over
you
15
just
years,
spread it
it's
over
nothing.
it comes
It's
down to what? $10 in a year, $15 in a year. I think it's
about
as cheap-
$25 to $35 a year, but yeah, $400, 15 years. So you're talking
Yeah, $300,
Yeah.
$400,
$20 a year, $30
$20
a year.
in
So
a year.
it's
You
not
changing
that
to
much.
Footwear
Yeah,
of $100 each
yeah.
twice in a year. It's $200
it adds
in a year.
up.
It's
It adds
$20
up.
in a year.
Yep.
So it's cheaper in the long run.
So that's what we were discussing in the previous podcast, right? Investment versus expense.
Yes.
These are investments,
Yes.
mass
Short-term
produced.
gains or
Exactly.
long-term gains. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think that's everything we had to cover today. So thanks for your time. Thanks for
Thank
joining.
you. Lovely.
Yep.
having
And
chat.
thank you, folks at home, for joining
Thank
in.
you. Thank
We'll be back soon with episode 5. Take care.